Hi all, Arthur Whitecrummy here, the political reporter with the Regina Leader Post, and I'm here with Murray Mandrick, our political columnist for our election post-mortem, as I guess the final installment of our Why You Should Care series. So Murray, these results from Tuesday are kind of incredible. I mean, it's not surprising that the Conservatives swept Saskatchewan.
A little bit, in the Goodale loss that
Sure.
Liberals couldn't win in the north, that the NDP couldn't get anything after winning 3 last time. So maybe a little surprised.
But the sheer extent of it is incredible.
Sure, I get that.
Liberals collapsed to 11.6% in the province.
Yeah.
How much of a rebuke is this for the sitting government?
Hugely. And I guess we all saw it coming in the sense that the carbon tax was unpopular, and that unpopularity was fed time after time by provincial and federal governments and our federal parties now over and over again to the point where pretty much that was the entire diet for huge swaths of this province. No one was buying into anything else.
So why are we so different from the East? I mean, that's what this has really proven, that a government can...
The East doesn't get that we're a resource economy. They truly don't. They don't get how bloody hard it is to farm, or even in some ways to make money on oil, although a lot of people do make a lot of money on oil. But I'll stick to farming for a moment. The post that Scott Moe put out on Twitter the other day related to the bill that a farmer is going to have to absorb to dry their grain through natural gas and then have to pay the carbon tax on top of that really hits home to a lot of people. And I think particularly if you're not in those industries, if you're in Eastern Canada, you don't get it. You're in a miserable fall year. You might not have any income. You might not have any crop, depending on where it is. You're frustrated as it is, and then you get something like this. That's where it really hits home.
The Premier certainly struck a pretty heavy chord with a lot of his followers. His post that you referenced got 39,000 shares, but I take it that you weren't especially impressed with it. You wrote a column saying that it was a tantrum.
It's jumping ahead of the crowd already carrying pitchforks and torches, and that's not what I want a premier to do or what I expect a premier to do. I expect a premier to act like a national leader. If he wants to support an independence movement in Saskatchewan, which I clearly think he doesn't, because that's what they said repeatedly, then he has to work within the framework of Canada. The framework of Canada, unfortunately for Saskatchewan, said that 2/3 of the country voted for parties opposed to the carbon tax. Well, someplace within that structure, we have to find a way to address that problem. But offering a whole list of New Deal demands that in essence deal with old problems like equalization that really have nothing to do with Trudeau, the Harper Conservative government could have clearly solved and chose not to for the exact same reason, because they didn't want to pick a fight with Quebec either. All those things are becoming political factors, not structural confederation factors, and that's what bothered me about the Premier's comments.
So then what would be a responsible way for the Premier to react to these results?
Well, be angry, be frustrated, tell the public that you're very frustrated having to go back to this minority and government and dealing with it, but you can't demand a new deal on equalization simply because of that. You had your chance 10 years ago to basically deal with that issue, and the Harper government simply wouldn't.
So that's how you think that the Premier should react. The Prime Minister has proven that he can win a strong minority without any support on the part of Alberta or Saskatchewan.
He's got to give a damn about the West,
Sure.
and he doesn't. And I get the frustration.
But why should he from a political perspective?
Well, because he's the Prime Minister of Canada, and if he wants Canada to include Western Canada, he better damn well start paying attention to what's going on out here, because it's a big deal. There's meetings in Lloydminster tomorrow about how we're going to handle this situation. There's 200,000 sign-ons to that Facebook page about Wexit already. If that's not an indication that there's a problem, and if you continue to be a smug Eastern Liberal basically saying, look, we have no problem here and we don't really need to address this issue, you're going to have a big problem. The problem that we need to contend with is a Prime Minister that really needs to not just demonstrate, but actually do things to correct the problems. And a minority government is actually a perfect place to do that.
Do you think it's going to happen?
Pardon?
Do you think it's going to happen?
No, I'm sadly fearful that it's not, that we're just going to be in the situation. So buckle your chin strap.
Well, on that depressing note, thanks so much for staying with us for this last installment of Why You Should Care, and we'll see you whenever we choose to do our next series. Thanks, Murray.